moved to Korea for a while. I saw how hardworking everybody was. You're somehow falling behind. Whole new anxiety I didn't really expect.
Marriage is like a new fear and anxiety unlocked. Everyone around me is already having a family. They're getting a stable house. They're having kids, and
5 years from now, they're gonna be divorced and have like a messy life.
that's a
So it's like-
pessimistic point of view. But right
It's
now,
pretty realistic seeing the divorce rate. I think I would personally be fulfilled with just exercise, working out, mental health, community.
That's a choice. But generally, the flow of society is that, like you can wake up and have breakfast at 3 p.m.
That's what I do these days.
But you know that there are more brunch spots open at 10. And if you miss that timing, you don't have a choice.
Right.
But
When you're fertile.
Exactly. When I'm
First.
when I'm
And they're fresh.
when
how old are you guys?
I'm 27 this year.
Tammy?
I'm 31.
What? You're in your 30s? No way.
I'm a year younger than you guys.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were way younger.
No.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Than. Yeah,
Actually.
but we're 33. We're 33.
32. I'm
32.
32.
Yeah.
Are we
International
33?
age.
No, 32.
Wait, if you guys are 33, then maybe I'm 32.
No, I'm 32.
Yeah, this is the problem with Korean age and like getting
Yeah.
abolished and all
okay,
that.
yeah.
But the reason I asked their age is because the topic for today is what do Koreans in their 20s and 30s have on their minds? What are the biggest concerns?
Wait, so I'm representing 20s?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You're the only one.
You're the
Tammy's
only
like-
one.
it's pressure.
Tammy's borderline 20. Like she just become 30.
Borderline,
You
yeah.
can represent
yeah,
the
exactly.
transition crisis.
Of course, of
I'll
course.
represent the transition.
Yeah, it's real. So like, you've been seeing on the news on YouTube every single day there's like the end of Korea. Korea is a hyper competitive society. The birth rates plummeting, housing prices, blah blah blah. Korea is like this dystopian whatever. And I feel like that all like applies heavily most to like the 20s and 30s
Yeah, for
because
sure.
we're
Yeah.
definitely the working force and also we're the
taking
ones
the hit.
Yeah, we're taking the hit. So I'll be asking you guys whether you think it's exaggerated, whether you relate to that in personal places. Let's start with personal. What's your biggest concern nowadays as a 20 to 30-year-old
My
Korean?
career for me.
Your career?
Yeah. I feel like I'm at an age, because I'm 27, I'm in the age to sort of decide which path I'm going to take,
Okay.
whether it's corporate or entrepreneurial or like freelancer or whatever, because I know for a fact that Korean companies don't hire you when you're in your 30s and you don't have any corporate experience at all. So you'll be,
That's me.
That's me. That's me too. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm like, should I? And then I graduated Yonsei, which is like a valuable diplomacy in Korea. So my parents are like, you should at least try to work for a Korean company before all of that opportunity gets
Exactly.
taken away from you. Because once Korean companies know you've only worked as a business,
Freelancer,
as a
yeah.
freelancer,
Yeah.
they don't want to hire you when you're in your 30s because they think you're going to be too stubborn, too individualistic, and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm wasting my diploma right now.
You sound exactly like my mom.
You
Like
know what?
100% what she says.
Actually, I agree with your mom.
Yeah, you
But
agree
you're in
with
your
my mom?
30s. She didn't give up.
She didn't give up. And the reason I did grad school was because she was like, you need to compensate for those lost years. Like, you're not going into a company right now, so nobody's going to take you. So in order for you to be acceptable, you at least need a master's upgrade. So that was her logic.
I think your mom is right.
Oh, is she?
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
don't know.
what?
I don't think, because so my dad does the exact same thing. He always sends
Listen to
me-
your parents.
he still sends me, like, I've never had a corporate Korean job, but he still sends me like 기아 자동차 채용 광고.
Same.
And then
Job
I feel like
openings.
he doesn't really know me because I've never had an
Okay.
interest in that.
Can I have
Sure.
can I be the boomer here?
Yeah, sure. Devil's advocate.
So actually, like, I've spent most of my life freelancing, doing YouTube, and like I would say we were pretty successful, right?
Yeah.
We have some achievements that we can be proud of, and I thought because now I'm actually in the process of job seeking while also doing YouTube, and I thought to myself, like, since I have these like accolades or achievements, it will be very easy to get a job, but I think
That's
the
not the
problem
case.
is like I'm not like 28 anymore. I'm not your age anymore. And companies are reluctant to test out people that haven't been in the corporate field and that's like old as me.
Yeah.
Yeah, cuz like
Especially when you're in the media field too. Like
Yeah,
the creative field. Yeah.
and I could easily get are still like social media related jobs. Those ones like I always get like asked for interviews. But like the good jobs that you would kind of actually want.
Wait, what are the good jobs?
Not social media related jobs. Because like if you think about it, like no offense to all those people doing that work.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if that's like there's like a big salary jump waiting at the end of a social media editor or
Yeah.
social media content creator for me, I'm looking mostly for more corporate style jobs, and it's been very difficult.
Are you looking?
Oh, sorry. Now I'm very anxious.
Yeah.
Like-
He was tapping on the table.
but like it's difficult because like there's no like prior corporate experience, and like for me, I'm too old to be like a 신입, right?
Entry level.
So I have to be, you know, like at least a junior or senior
Wait,
level.
so is
position.
it your ego or is it?
No,
like
no,
the
I apply
field?
to like entry level jobs as
Oh,
well.
and
But
they
they
don't.
don't want me because I'm too old and I have too much experience
Mm.
to be entry level. But at the same time, for somebody who's a more senior position, my experience is not directly applicable to the corporate field. I've never experienced the corporate environment. So
So like, can you make this decision for me then, since you have like this issue?
Okay,
So recently, Google Korea emailed me.
what?
I'm sure they emailed you as well for shopping, Google Shopping Bootcamp,
shopping.
like YouTube Shopping
Yeah, yeah,
Bootcamp. So I think they emailed a bunch of like,
YouTubers.
yeah, a bunch of
Oh, okay,
YouTubers.
okay.
And then I was like, and then I was looking at her LinkedIn, and she graduated Yonsei as well, and she's
Yeah.
like my age. So my dad is like, you shouldn't like participate in this boot camp as a YouTuber. You should just get a job in Google because I can get like reference like same university, blah blah blah. And I was like, should I really try that? Like, what do you
My
think?
mom and your dad are same.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Here's my advice. Is YouTube making you a shit ton of money right now?
No, I mean I'm not. I haven't been on YouTube for
Yeah, then
Try it?
Try it. If you don't like it, you can always quit. But that opportunity won't come.
Back.
when
Back.
I'm 30 something.
When
Look
you're
at me.
33. Look at us.
Look at me.
Look at
But
us.
I feel like, but
serious.
when you see hiring on Google, I feel like the most important part is whether you have references like from the same school, and also, but there's like different job levels for people with different experience. So I think you qualify for like managerial jobs.
Nah, man.
No, you gotta have corporate experience.
Yeah. They don't count your experience. So I
No,
actually.
they count your experience if you had your own company and whatnot. At least they
yeah,
say.
I
That's what they say.
yeah. I applied to Google Korea about like 6 times.
Oh.
Did you have
I
a
don't. I
reference?
doubt they even.
Did you have a reference?
Yeah. I'll just say this. I say this to my girlfriend all the time because
Wow.
she's the same age as you. There's a specific time,
Time and place for
place for
Yeah.
everything, and unless like I think for us, not to boast, but at that time we were like pretty certain that this is like a good career.
Yeah.
So you guys used to make like 10 times right now, or like?
We were comfortable.
We were very comfortable. So like, I was like, I don't need to have a 9 to
real
5.
job.
Yeah, like I could live off of this. So I don't really regret it that much.
Me neither.
For me, like I just like I had that ride, but like if you're at a state where you're not actively doing YouTube, then I would definitely
Try it.
Try it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and also in a different perspective, I feel like nowadays the meta, you know what the word
Yep.
meta, right? The meta nowadays is to have your 본캐, your like original job, and just do short form, like effortless short forms. Like today I'm walking in Yongsan and going to this cafe, and then it gets like 100K views and whatever, and you become like an influencer on the side.
Yeah, but so many people in like Google employees are doing that, like
That's the
interviewing
meta
other
nowadays.
employees and like, I don't.
That's how you bag money and also get the careers. But like back then, short form wasn't a thing, and the algorithm wasn't in favor of like long form. You had to really grind to get a career on YouTube. But nowadays, because like you can just upload on TikTok, Reels, like Instagram, whatever. Like people are just getting normal jobs and they're just doing like short form content on the side and getting more followers than us.
Yeah.
So when I see that, the most rational, pragmatic approach.
But do
would
you know
be-
how much they get paid for a million views?
Not much, but then they live off of like branded deals and other kind of.
But I don't
exterior.
see those like day in the life short form creators doing a lot of brand deals.
Yeah, those are very short lived, and it's hard to gain traction. That's like gonna actually convert to actual money. I don't know if like being a shorts creator will actually net you like direct dollars, but what's good about that is you always have a backup plan in case you don't like your corporate job,
Right.
Because you have a following,
Right.
So once you have a following, you can somehow utilize that in certain ways.
Yeah, well, that's
to-
the situation you guys are in.
Yeah, so like for me, like I'm glad that we still have that YouTube channel so that we can still leverage it if we need. But
It's gonna be hard to revive it.
it's gonna be hard
Yeah,
to
so
revive
I feel
it.
like
but
it's maybe better to be in your situation where you don't have a choice but to make it in this industry, and I feel like it motivates
no,
you more.
you see,
no?
I was thinking exactly like
Yeah.
this. I was
Yeah.
so
But now,
fucking
but now you
like,
wish you had a choice. You have a
That's my
choice.
Yeah.
interstellar moment. It's like,
Oh,
stay. It's more like leave.
Yeah, my mom was always saying like, you know, are you gonna be doing YouTube when you're 50 or you're like 45?
Yeah, why
Or
not?
like, look at 방망내 할머니.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't like that. I wasn't like that, but I was
She's
like
70
No,
and
the
she's-
the meta for YouTubers are like you get super popular and you do like your own brand or you do
Yeah.
your own business. That's the meta. So I'm gonna be trying to do that. And she's like, what if it fails? Businesses fail at a 90% rate. So are you gonna be that 10%? Are you sure you're gonna be that? If you're not, like you're gonna have no safe landing or whatever. So you're gonna be unemployed. And I can't feed you, so you're
I
on
see.
your own.
Wow.
So she was very harsh
If
about
we
that.
all listen to your mom.
But
we'd
what-
be-
I'm curious. Tammy's been a little bit quiet. She's
Yeah,
observant.
actually,
about
yeah.
it. She's in the corporate scene now.
Yeah,
I'm in the
yeah.
corporate scene,
So,
yeah.
So what's your view
You're
about
glad?
this?
You're
So
happy?
I'm actually, it's interesting to hear what you guys are talking about because I'm kind of on a bit of an opposite
oh,
Right.
really?
side.
Yeah.
And for me, I've always been, in some ways, for me, I've always been behind the camera.
Yeah.
And for a while, I've been thinking about maybe I should
Make
start
your
doing
own
my
con-
own content as
yeah.
well. So I'm kind of thinking of it from a opposite perspective where I'm like always been corporate and now I'm kind of like, how do I stop? How do I start making content not for others but for myself? So that's kind of where I'm.
Yeah, you
at.
should try the new meta nowadays. Like the
Yeah.
thing I was talking about. Everybody's doing that.
Day in
think-
the life of working for Korea Herald.
Exactly.
No, but I
exactly.
it's actually been on my. That's something I've been thinking about for a while. But what also happens when you're working in corporate is you're so drained.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
you're
true.
so
yeah.
tired
Yeah.
that-
You drink?
No, drained.
You're
Drained,
so drained.
Yeah, yeah.
You're so drained. You're tired,
Yeah.
and it gets a little bit overwhelming to
Right.
think about so many.
Right.
So
other
you have to
things.
be a superhuman to actually like do
You-
another stuff.
Yeah.
You do, but also like technically, it shouldn't be that hard if you think about it.
Right.
But
Yeah, no, but it actually is because that's what I've been thinking for the past year
Yeah.
because I have a part-time corporate at-home job, and then the reason I agreed to that is because I would had time for my own thing. But as you said, you're so drained
Yeah.
from the
Right,
job,
right,
you
right.
end
Me
up
too.
like not doing.
Same,
yeah.
same.
Yeah.
So I've been like in the freelance scene forever. I'm trying to do my business, not successful yet. I've been doing like the gig economy thing. So I have like multiple jobs, but I'm super drained with that. So that's like colliding with my like main YouTube thing. So when I'm like super drained with the other jobs, like I can't focus on like KPC or DKDK or whatever.
I feel like it's better to go in like all in
In
and
one.
focus on one thing. Yeah, once you have experience and know what you're best at.
another thing that happens is as you get older, you start losing energy. I think when you're
Oh, you hit that age, eh?
It's like when you're
That's
younger.
scary.
When you're younger, I was a lot more spontaneous. I was a lot more
Yeah.
random. I was a lot more daring. So
Yeah.
anything, I was just like, just do it. You know, why think?
Oh,
But
yeah,
as I age,
agree,
I
yeah.
realize I'm a lot more maybe conservative, or I'm a lot more like tired
Right,
to just
yeah.
do anything. And
I get that.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
so
get that totally.
I'm like 100%.
and you start getting very existential
I don't
at
like
the brink
going
of
out
29 to
anymore.
30,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
and then you just start thinking like, hey, maybe life isn't about always being.
See? I told you in the previous episode, adulthood is about accepting mediocrity.
Yeah, so it's kind of you start to kind of realize like, okay, maybe being
Yeah, this is
Just-
okay.
Do you think that's accepting
Yeah.
or compromising?
compromising, accepting, it's a mix of everything.
I
I
but
feel
it's also
like you
because
shouldn't use it as a co-PM. I feel like
No, it's not
you
a
should be
co-
okay with being mediocre, but you
Yeah,
should
yeah, I'm happy.
also strive for being better.
I need to
Yeah.
make a group chat today and send you all those like productivity guru videos. Like, get up right
yeah,
now, go
that's-
to the
that's
gym.
tiring, yeah.
You know, you're only 30 right now.
Commit.
and-
But apparently that wave of self-help has passed, and these
Really?
days the self-help is more like him, like
Yeah.
being okay
See,
with
I'm-
like
People
mediocrity.
are
I'm
not-
always at the
Okay,
forefront of
I'm
trends.
still stuck there. He's like, make your own
hustle
business.
culture is over.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's-
really?
근데 진짜 like one of the reasons why I came to Korea, I was 29 when I
Oh,
28,
really?
29.
Okay.
Oh,
I was going through it was COVID, and I was also going through a bit of like
a crisis.
a crisis. Like I'm turning 30. What am I doing
With my life.
with my life, or what do I want to do? What is something that I've
Now
always
it's time to
wanted
get
to
serious.
do?
And
And
Yeah.
then I can feel myself losing energy, so I wanted that last like spontaneous,
Okay.
be creative, do something
Yeah.
outside of the box. And then I came to Korea.
Yeah.
And then I met you guys. And then I was that's where I was like, wow, they're working
Tired.
so hard.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like David was doing like
Yeah, yeah,
5,000
yeah.
things, 5,000 things on
Still
his
like
plate.
that.
Yeah.
Danny was also doing 5,000 things on his plate. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I have no like I should never say.
Oh.
That's what
Right.
Korea gives you.
And it was a bit of a culture difference
Right.
too, because
Yeah.
I came from very relaxed Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden, it's very like there's no real like you need to do this at this age, you need to do
Right,
that.
right.
Everybody kind of just live their own pace. So I never felt that social pressure to the
Oh,
same extent
no.
as I did when I came to Korea. But then seeing it was more of a
We gave you
like-
social pressure and
아니야, 아니야,
anxiety.
아니야.
Oh
No. It
I'm
wasn't-
so sorry.
I'm very honored to make
it wasn't like
somebody
it wasn't
think
like,
that, yeah.
I was getting social pressure.
Yeah.
It was more like wow, like they're 되게 열심히 사는데
Nah, we were just trying to survive.
아니 근데 it was very like 되게 멋있다.
Oh,
like
thank
they're
you.
living
I think, but the thing that you have to understand, maybe especially you, Kelsey,
Wow.
since you want to do YouTube,
Oh.
probably you felt this as well. But like the moment that you're hot, you know that this is gonna go away someday.
Yeah.
So you try to like work your ass off and like get as much as you can out of the few years that you're. It's kind of like being an athlete. You know, like you'll
That's
have
what
a
my mom said.
yeah, exactly. Your
Wow.
Maybe your
mom
mom should
is
be here.
wise. I realize.
She always says
You know what?
athlete.
You know what I say these days?
Yeah.
I should have listened to my parents
Oh.
a lot more. Because like when you're a YouTuber, you know like your peak's only gonna be a few years. So you try to do as much as you can, fit it in that schedule.
But like I feel like maybe this is me living in Delulu. You know that saying, if you have 1,000 people who's willing to pay like $5 to you every month, you can like survive.
Yeah.
I think like if you are less like frazzled about like what's gonna be the next big thing, is it gonna be podcasts or shorts? If you just do what is sustainable for you and
Yeah.
what you are, if 1,000 people follow you and like you for your genuinity, I feel like
I think you should have a roadmap though.
Exactly.
Like what? Okay.
But it doesn't go according
It's
to
not
your
about like
plan.
getting a job. It's more like okay, you're not gonna get a job. Then what are you gonna do?
I've watched a lot of YouTube videos on this, and of course, it's a very twisted point of view in the Korean side. But like, apparently, the gap of like your ego and like your anxiety gets even bigger when you enter your 40s. Like when you look around then, and your friends are like in nice buildings and corporate and just getting big fat salaries, and you're just still hustling on your own, like doing your own stuff, trying to make it with your own
Oh,
business.
yeah.
Like if you go to like those 동창회s and then you meet your friends and they're all like, oh, I'm Samsung, I'm getting like 연봉 1억, whatever. I'm just like living.
But inherently, you're never gonna be happy if you think that way, even if you're the one who has the big house.
But
'Cause
then,
there's always gonna
but
be
then,
someone
no,
better
I
than
think the
off than
point
you.
is like stability. It's like whether
You sound so old right now.
근데 I completely relate because when I was in my 20s too, I was just fueled with passion. You
Yeah,
know?
me
so,
too.
So I'm just like bam, 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 bam. But then when you start noticing this drop in
exactly.
in fire.
And for me,
yeah.
it's like 2 years, like 2 years apart. But like I've been trying to do my business over and over and over again, like several businesses and like my YouTube channel. And I feel like maybe Danny's right. Like, you know, you gotta accept that my limit is here. And like once your business isn't like booming or skyrocketing, I'm like feeling anxious every single day. Like, oh, my friends are just, they have a safety net. They have like a set salary. They don't have to like excavate anything for their own like, you know, food and stuff. But every single day I'm like, I have to worry about my business. What if it fails? Like, what if it doesn't work out? Like in my
Well, I
fourth,
feel like you're unnecessarily in a survival mode when you are privileged enough to not be.
that's also true.
So I feel that's hindering you, because I know a lot of motivated people in Sweden as well. And as you said, there's like no societal pressure, like you should have accomplished this by your age. So when I see hustlers in Sweden, it feels more organic. Like they really want to do that. They're really passionate about it. But for Koreans, like you said, you're inspired by their hard working and whatever, but it feels more like survival.
That's true.
And
That is
I
very
feel
true.
like that just hinders you in the long term because it doesn't feel organic to the viewers.
Yeah, so
It's
I
like-
feel like the environment here actually just sets you in that mode.
Yeah,
and
but
we're
you
all-
voluntarily like compare
I'm a
yourself. Just
victim of
don't
that. Honestly,
don't-
I would
just like
just-
stop talking with your mom. I stopped
근데-
talking with my
No, 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 but like I just feel it nowadays by myself.
Here's a difference
Yeah.
because I grew up in Sweden and I never lived in Korea. And coming to Korea and experience a whole new vibe, it did give me a lot of
anxiety.
anxiety and existential
It's like
crisis.
survival in mode.
Because-
I'm like, why?
Because in Sweden, I only felt it internally, like, oh, I'm definitely losing passion. I'm definitely seeing that I'm going more towards wanting stability and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I also felt that I wanted to do more. But Sweden is so calm.
Chill.
So
Yeah.
chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're
okay
still
with-
hustlers.
there
IKEA.
are hustlers, but it's
organic, not from this like urgency to do
Oh,
something.
Right,
but
right,
sometimes for people who want to do more, it feels a little bit limiting because I would go into meetings and be like, guys, like we could have
Let's do this.
we
Yeah.
could have done
And they're
this,
like,
we
"Oh,
could have done that,
whatever." Yeah.
and they're kind
They're
of
like,
like,
Let me just
"Yam
get my
they're like,
paycheck,
hey
yeah.
Tammy,
Chill.
chill. Oh, 80% is okay.
Okay.
Okay, like let's talk about the good things, not the bad things. Like that
That's-
would be the typical. But if you're
That's the most
if you're-
comforting thing I've ever heard in my life.
So if you're planning
No,
to
you can choose to live like that in Korea.
Not in Korea,
Yes,
no,
you
I
can.
don't think so.
Why?
So if you're planning to live in Sweden, and if you want to, if you're okay just living in Sweden and going through being in that kind of life, it's totally fine. It works. But if you're looking to maybe go abroad, you know, like go
Yeah,
to
yeah.
the US or move to Korea for a while, then it you definitely sense that you're somehow
Yeah.
Yeah.
falling behind,
Right.
and it's a whole new anxiety I didn't really expect I would
Unlocked.
feel until I
Yeah.
arrived in Korea, and then I saw how
Hustling
hardworking
everyone,
everybody
yeah.
was, and it just made me just contemplate. You're right. Like I think in some ways a lot of the hustling in Sweden is very organic and it's very
Right.
healthy. Everybody has a very healthy work-life balance. Here it's unhealthy, but you also you see
But
You
you
get
don't even do
gaslighted
more
towards
here,
it.
I feel like. You just
That's-
have
that's
anxiety,
true.
but it's not like you do more. Or
No,
you're more
actually,
efficient.
no. I disagree to that because nowadays, I think it's universal, maybe, but like at least for Koreans in like their 30s, I haven't seen a single friend nowadays that's not looking for a side job.
Yeah, that's another
everybody is
thing.
doing either like smart
That's-
store
that's
or
sad, though.
or like
Because the
ri-
economy?
they're thriving to get more money.
근데 that's actually something I want to mention too, because it's kind of like even if you have a stable corporate job,
Yeah.
there are so many people who are looking to do extra things like
Exactly.
becoming a creator on the side or
Yeah.
But why?
Running a
Is it 'cause
business.
house prices? Or
No,
like,
no, it's more like
Why can't they
It's just the
satisfy-
culture.
You want to have some leverage against your company. No, it's true. Like you don't want to be held, by the balls, by your company.
Yeah, everyone
Like-
wants financial freedom.
Like
at
you
some
want
point.
to at least have like something to cushion if you ever get fired or if you ever decide like, oh fuck this.
Yeah, that's what I
corporate
heard
shit.
too. Because like a lot of my corporate friends, when I
Yeah.
always complain about my life, they're like, "Oh, you're privileged. You earn more than me, anyways." But like when I talk about stability, they also say like nowadays the corporate scene isn't even so stable because like
Yeah.
a lot of people get fired when they're 40, 45.
Yeah.
So it's not like the old days when you can stick until 65, 60 and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
yeah.
So
So I mean, our parents' generation, they were pretty much told that if you get a job, you're set for life.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's your source of income. There's nothing else you need to worry about. For our generation, I feel that it's even
Not
if you
like that.
have a job, there's no guarantee.
right.
There anything can happen. You can lose a job or
I actually had a fight about this with my dad.
Oh.
So, we were in a car and he was saying something like, I was telling him that I don't think university degrees matter that much anymore, and he's like, maybe it's because of your industry, because like anyone can play the influencer game and whatnot. And he kept saying like, if you work for a company like a Korean company, you will never get fired even if you're inadequate or even if you start losing it. Like Danny doesn't know trends, but like if he's in a corporation, he would still keep his job. And I was like, why would I want to be hired by some place that like keeps me even if I'm inadequate? I think he just knows a lot of paper pushers in the company who is able to keep their job in spite of their mediocre performances.
Yeah,
and
yeah, probably.
and I just felt offended that he's suggesting that kind of life to me because I don't want to be that kind
That's
of
what
like
parents do
NPC life.
That's a Korean parent for you.
in some ways, do you think maybe because you already have a university degree from a good university, you don't maybe sense what it's like to be on the other side? Like you already have that. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like
true.
you're privileged in the sense that you already have that degree. Nobody stops you from achieving what you want to do because you don't have you have a different degree, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
I
you're coming from a
understand.
stance of like you already have it, so you don't know that this
The
is,
opportunities I have from
yeah,
the
are
university
from that
degree.
too.
Well, that's why my dad keeps saying like time is ticking and you're not gonna have that opportunity. You
That's
won't
true,
be. I won't
yeah.
be able to milk my diplomacy when I'm 30 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. So maybe I'll take Danny's advice and
So-
apply before I'm 30.
Let me I used to think exactly like Kelsey.
Me
My
too.
parents told me all this shit and I was like, like look at my YouTube channel. Look at how much I'm making. Yo, dad.
Yeah.
Dad.
I make more than you.
I
Dad.
make
Do you
more
want-
than you and mom combined. So shut the
Wow.
No, I did not say that. But
You
but that
felt that
was
way,
yeah,
yeah.
that was going on in my head. But like
But I feel
I'm
like
not- I'm
as
not-
soon as your business starts to launch or your hustle starts to launch, you're gonna have that arrogant attitude again. So it's just like you're in a rut right now. So you feel like, oh,
maybe,
I should have
maybe.
listened to my parents.
But I feel,
I don't think you truly can live that kind of lifestyle.
No, but it's more like at that moment, it's easy to think that it's gonna last forever,
So-
or you're gonna have like a number of successes in succession. The truth is like that's very unlikely. Like what your dad is saying, and what I would say to myself right now, if I could go back, is like like literally the time where you're viewed based off of like which university you graduated. It's probably like
Late 20s.
There's an
late
expiration
20s
date
at,
for
at
that,
the
yeah.
most. By the time you're 30s, no one gives a fuck about which university
Yeah.
you went to.
You know what's growing up in Sweden, you're kind of told by society that none of that really matters. You should do what you love, right? And that's kind of like the mentality of Swedish people applying to jobs. University doesn't really matter. It's more about like the competency based on a skill for that specific role for that specific company. But then coming to Korea, coming to US, you realize it might have been unique to Sweden, but it's not the same culture or vibe in the rest of the world.
Yeah,
So
to be honest, I think Korean society, it's not healthy at all.
it's not.
It's
It's
completely mental. But because we live here, we gotta
Exactly.
adapt. It's
Exactly.
not our
That's what I'm-
choice.
yeah.
Do you regret coming here? Because in my perspective, you left Utopia and like jumped
But-
into hell
but to-
voluntarily.
but
because I
that's-
want to move to Sweden.
For me, it was more of a like identity search, right? Because I'm Korean, but I'm not. I'm American, but I'm like what am I? I think Korea was always on my bucket list. Whenever I did job search in Sweden, I always wanted to do something related to East Asian culture. So I thought, okay, let's try moving to Korea and experiencing it firsthand. Whether I regret coming here or not, I don't think I regret it, but it's true that I went through a lot. Just like realizing
Yeah.
the
I mean,
reality
personally,
here.
I view
reality
Korean
there.
working culture
Inferior.
inferior to Swedish working culture.
But I'm not gonna lie,
honestly-
Swedish
Probably
work culture
different,
is
yeah.
Honestly, though, like I feel like there are super pros and cons with Korean culture, work culture. I think the reason we are excelling in a lot of industries and a lot of like fields globally right now is because of this
We're
work
not
culture.
really though.
We are.
Which industry?
How is this small country
Oh my, you
making?
sound like my dad. This small country, top 10 GDP.
Yeah, top 10. Yeah,
We don't even have
that's
oil
facts.
or gas,
That's
and
facts.
it's all human resources.
Exactly.
That's the pros and the cons, actually.
Exactly,
We
that's what I'm
only have the
saying. So
people.
vehicles, semiconductors, entertainment, movies, whatever, all that kind of stuff. We're on the global,
Yeah.
hot table right now,
Yeah.
and that's because everybody has this hustling mindset, but we're all like crumbling in the inside. That's also another
Yeah.
fact too. So that's why like the
Crazy.
rate of growth was super speedy, but now it's like all going down. It's all
Yeah.
falling to hell because that's like the
Yeah.
rebound effect. I feel like we haven't looked out for our
Yeah.
society and the mental health of everybody.
Right.
So it's like all crumbling down. That's why everybody doesn't want to have babies, like housing prices,
Yeah.
like speculative culture and
So
all that.
socially, we're very ill,
Dystopian.
but it's somehow helped us. If we try to do the Korean way of business, like breaking all those like basically labor laws
Yeah.
on the regular in America, like most Korean businesses would not be able to function like the way they are in America because like think about it, like entertainment industry, the production side as well, like everything is like breaking
Yeah.
rules, bending rules, making people work less than
But
minimum
also,
wage.
what I heard from these Californians,
Yeah.
the K-Town Koreans, what they all say is like, if you just bring an average Korean dude and make that
Yeah.
person work or do a business in the
Yeah.
U.S., they will succeed in the U.S. if with that mentality.
Yeah.
Also, I saw a reel yesterday about Australia shutting down everything at 3 p.m., like the coffee shops and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The only ones that are open until like 6 and 7, 8 are Korean owner shop.
근데 진짜 that's the difference. Like you can tell, like in Korea 진짜 열심히 사는 사람들이 많아. Everybody's really pushing it, and to me it was very like, 내가 정말 편하게 살았.
The Korea you meet for the first time. The Korea you meet at last. These moments are both called biroso. At biroso, we bring the essence of Korea to your doorstep. From traditional handmade crafts and home decor to the latest in fashion and accessories. Discover authentic Korean products crafted by local artisans and master creators. Visit buroso.net and enjoy fast global shipping, customer service, and a 10% discount on your first purchase with the code KPC. Rediscovering Korea, Buroso.
This episode is brought to you by Patreon. Join the KPC Patreon to unlock amazing perks like early access to our videos, exclusive podcasts, and monthly K-pop reaction videos, all for just a few dollars a month. Your collective support keeps the channel going, helping us produce better, more informative, and entertaining content. Test how far KPC can go by supporting us at patreon.com/koreanpizzaclub. Thank you so much for your support and hope you enjoy the show. I feel like this extends to everything in Korea. For me, marriage is like a new big thing, a new fear and anxiety unlocked right now. I never thought I would be this kind of guy. Like I'm gonna be successful until like 40. You know, I don't have that aging curve. I don't care about what society cares about me. Like I am who I am. Like I'm confident. But now I'm like everyone around me is already having a family. They're getting a stable house. They're having kids, and they're having this
pressure?
new phase of life. And I'm just at
and then like 5 years from now, they're gonna be divorced and have like a messy life.
No, that's like
I'm just saying you can't just look at
like that's
one
a pessimistic point of view. But right now,
it's pretty realistic seeing the divorce rates.
I
I'm
don't
saying
know.
like you can't put that kind of life on a pedestal and think your life is
No,
unhappy.
but it's like every human being has a nature of being fearful if you're not in like that crowd. And I know
the herd mentality.
The herd, no, not being in that crowd.
It is a herd mentality.
No.
What's a red pill?
No. It's not herd mentality or anything. It's like if you're a human being, you are just geared to be within a society and a community and a group. And if you're an outlier from that, if you're not like in that mold, it's like bad to be in a mold. But like you get fearful when you're just seeing everyone else doing that, but you're on the exact opposite. And that's exactly me right now. So like I'm living an unconventional life. I'm just working by myself. I'm not going to company. Everyone around is getting married. I'm not getting married. Like, so
Why don't you choose to be proud of that instead of being
I
anxious
am
about
proud,
that?
but at the
Okay.
same time, it's a dual mentality
Yeah.
because like I'm earning much more. I'm like having freedom. I don't have any responsibilities.
Yeah, and you're still friends with people in their lives in that kind
and,
of life.
and I'm like having journeys and traveling and all that. Everyone's like very jealous of me, but at the same time, when you just like sideline a little bit and just look at the big picture and like look at other people, they're having their own version of happiness too that I don't have, which is
근데
like
I 진짜 relate.
Yeah. Okay. Can I
Yeah.
put it in a different way?
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, Kelsey, but I also relate.
Oh.
So it's like
Yeah, no
3v1.
problem. No, I'm listening. Like, is this what I'm gonna think? And I'm
it's a
30?
slightly different take. Like I also feel like I want to have a family now, which I like when I was like, you know, in my 20s, I was like exactly same as David. I was like, I'm gonna, you know, not get married, live this single life, you know, be free. But like maybe it's not about other people getting married, more so about for me, you know, like what am I gonna do when I'm 40? What's gonna excite me when I'm 40?
Yeah.
You know, like what's gonna excite me when I'm 50, right? So like
And you think you need a child to be excited, or?
I think I've experienced a little bit of success in my life through YouTube, and that's great. And maybe it'll be exciting to experience that again. But I know that that kind of fades away. But having, you know, a family will hopefully not fade away. And another thing is, I think you start accepting that you are not gonna be fucking Elon Musk.
that's true.
This
Before-
is like all so deep, and it's like I'm getting stressed
Oh.
right now.
I 근데 like
Okay,
I
so
was
can I just be honest?
Yeah.
So maybe this is really immature thinking, and you're
Yeah.
gonna be like, "Man, Kelsey's so young." But honestly, I don't have any like strong will to have a family or get
No,
married
that's
or like
fine.
have kids. I think my ideal life when I'm 30, 40, 50, 60 is gonna be like go to my yoga class in the morning and then have like freedom and like work a little bit and then like I think I personally find a lot of value in like volunteering and like community work. And I think I can maybe get fulfillment from that instead of a family. And I am traumatized in my own way because my parents are divorced and I don't believe in the marriage system. And I feel like if it fails, it's going to be a bigger pain than whatever pain you get from your career
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Valid, yeah.
So I think for me, the ideal life, and I think I would personally be fulfilled with just exercise, working out, mental health, community, like contributing to society. So I don't really get all this.
Yeah.
Oh, this
I
is
still
pressure.
don't completely get
Yeah,
it either.
yeah, the
I'm
thing-
on,
Why do you feel like
I'm more on your side.
Oh, why don't you go for this life
He
then?
just feels pressure. Yeah.
I think all of us, as we're in our early 30s, we're still figuring it out, which is why David's also like, I'm with you, but I'm also
Not.
I'm like,
the same with Danny, right? But
I
what
think
Danny,
he's kind of went
Nah,
to the
not
other
with you.
side.
but what
I'm not with you. I was
he's
with you.
finalized.
but what Danny mentioned earlier is very important. Like, you notice that there is a time and place for when something happens, and if you miss that timing, you don't have a choice.
Right.
So the mentality I'm in right now is I wouldn't be opposed to having a family. I know that this is the timing where I explore that option.
Yeah.
Right.
But if I
fertile.
exactly when I'm
First.
when I'm
And they're fresh.
when
Nailed it.
Right? Because when they're viable.
That's
Yeah.
exactly,
viable,
that's a
yes, okay,
very,
sure,
very
when they're
valid
viable.
reason
Gotta
for
freeze 'em.
Korean
But-
women, especially.
but when when I have that option, because also like
I mean, you can always adopt.
yeah, I mean, like I'm not only
yeah.
referring to like having children. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
everybody around my age area are perhaps looking.
Okay, well, like one little like introspective. So my parents are divorced, so I get to look into the Korean dancing life, and it's thriving and it's like
Yeah,
I'm sure
vibrant.
too. I'm
There are
sure.
so many
Yeah.
love life. My dad and my mom each have their boyfriends and girlfriends, and they're like giggling like teenagers, and they're really happy. So I don't think there's a time
No,
limit with romance.
But there is, like
With
I'm
children,
not,
maybe.
Okay, I'm not saying that one opportunity time comes once. Like there's a certain time.
There's
and
certain
place,
pockets.
of time
Yeah.
when
So
some things
so
happen.
in the early mid 30s, everybody's getting married.
Yeah.
So by the time you're late 40s, late 30s,
you don't have you have
don't-
to
you
wait
have
for them to get a
nobody.
divorce.
Yeah.
You have-
And then-
yeah, but then, and then
and then,
10 years later,
mid
you get
40s, you get that
Pocket of time.
rejuvenation of
Yes.
Because it's kind
free
of like
agency.
Yeah.
Kelsey, it's kind of like this. Like you can go to college, you can become a freshman at 31. You know,
Yeah.
like that's fine.
Yeah.
But there is a pocket of opportunity
Yeah.
when you're 19, right after high school, right? Like around.
But is that
20s.
better than when you're 31?
So it's that's kind of a personal choice. But
okay.
but
Yeah.
generally the flow of society is that
Yeah.
like you can wake up and have breakfast at 3 p.m. That's
what
fine,
I do these
right?
days.
That's a choice. But it's there. That there's there are more brunch spots open at 10.
Yeah,
Right.
so
that's,
like
that's what I'm talking about. Like there's a pocket of time.
100%
But like if I'm
agree.
satisfied with my 3 p.m. brunches, I
Yeah.
don't know why I have to care about the
No.
10
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I just
again-
want to clarify to the viewers that even Danny, me, and Tammy right now speaking is on a closer spectrum to Kelsey rather than the average Korean. Average Koreans, if you actually speak to them, they're like, my biological clock is ticking. I need to go to a 결혼 정보 회사. I need to get married right now, or else my parents are
Really?
like.
None of my Korean friends are like
Oh,
that.
No, they
well,
are
if
like
you
that.
date
Okay,
like
my Yonsei friends, they're Korean. I feel like
They're
the
not-
generation after you are more chill.
They're not 30 yet.
they're not 30 yet.
Yeah, but they're mid 20s like my
I
age.
feel like when I was dating, when I was younger, the moment my girlfriend, then girlfriend,
Yeah.
turns 30, like
Marriage.
something changes. Like they flip a switch and then they're like,
Really?
okay,
I'm telling you,
I-
it's real.
time to stop like fucking around.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me just get serious. I'm not gonna marry this guy.
Yeah.
So let's find somebody to marry.
They're like, are you
It's-
gonna
it's
marry me or
scary.
not?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
stop wasting my time.
Ultimatum.
So it's kind of like if we had someone who had that kind of mindset, we would have had a completely different.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah.
more serious.
Yeah.
I'm
Yum
just
day,
really
right?
feeling like I should enjoy my time right now.
No, but you should.
You
You
should.
should.
You should.
Absolutely.
It's totally
But yeah.
natural to feel that way at
Yeah.
that age. I don't
Exactly.
think it's weird.
Unrelatable, like
Yeah.
not my problem.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah,
Yeah.
Talk to us like 5 years
But then
from
Yeah,
now.
if
I'm gonna be like, you're right.
If you go above our generation to our parents,
they're even.
my
they're
God,
like,
I think
you're
what-
a loser now.
I
yeah,
think
they think I'm a loser. Literally, they think you're not married,
have
you
no
don't have a
kids?
job, you don't have anything.
We'll just say to them like 집 사줄 거 아니면은 신경 쓰지 마, bro.
Who will do that?
결혼 자금 줄 거 아니면은
how-
잔소리 하지 마. No, I say that.
I mean, most parents don't have that enough money, right?
Well, then they don't have the privilege to nag you about your life decisions.
Well, they're still your parents.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Doesn't
They're gonna
mean they can
do that
pressure
for the
you.
rest of their lives. Whether
Anyways,
you like
I'm
it or
just
not.
talking that the generations in Korea, like the upper you get, it's gonna be more and more
Yeah.
toxic. Like, I don't want to say it's toxic because like it's Korean
is.
culture.
More conventional.
Yeah,
let's
we're
just say.
thinking Western standards, honestly. In a lot of
I mean,
Korean
we
people,
can judge it as toxic because we're Koreans.
yeah, but a lot of Korean people, it's like a
Yeah,
vice versa
yeah.
kind of thing. But a lot of Korean people think Western culture is very toxic too because they're like
Yeah.
everybody gets divorced, everyone's so open, like
Korean
you know,
divorce rate's
you know, everybody just wants to do their own thing. It's like all a different matter of perspective. I feel like so I don't want to coin one culture as toxic like as another.
Korean culture is more. There's more social pressure for sure to get married. But I think if you look at any culture, except for special cultures where you get married when you're like 12,
Yeah, yeah.
like most cultures, most countries, most developed nations, people marry around this age, right?
It's biologically
And
just,
most people in those countries will probably feel similar social pressures, maybe not to this extent, but they probably have the similar thoughts because I think it's not really about, you know, like I gotta do what my friend is doing. It's more about like, okay,
There's a right time.
I've done my hustle now. Like, you know, maybe it's time to find something
Next
more
phase,
meaningful. And there is definitely a biological clock on both men and women, like when they are able to reproduce. The older you get, not only is it hard to have babies, but it's like hard to just, you know, go out and meet new people, right? It's like you don't have that energy to live that single life, you know?
Yeah, so I
So
feel like
I think it's not just restricted to Korea. That's what I
I
want to say.
feel like our conversation has been very constructive, but
Okay.
dragging a little bit. Kelsey's
Okay.
max stress right now.
I'm not stressed, I'm just bored.
Let me
I'm just
kind of
like-
just
Yeah,
want to
it's
ask,
just
like,
old
so
guys.
for Danny,
Yeah,
you're
these boomers complaining.
yeah, like no offense, but aren't you scared that hypothetically, if you don't get married and you're left in your 70s and 80s alone, isn't that
I
even
don't
more
think I'll be
scarier?
alone.
Oh, you won't be alone?
Yeah, you like you don't need a partner. You have friends. You have.
I feel like there's always gonna be a distance between like blood and friends and also like partner, like wife and husband. So
I've had friends that are better than family.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just a boomer, but
Yeah.
uh,
Kelsey,
my
watch
number.
this 5 years from now.
I'm
we should
right.
we should
I
do
have
the
such a
exact same
thriving life.
podcast
5
years from now
2030.
and
근데
see.
at the end of the day, I think everything is in doses, right? It's not like one is right and the other.
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
a bit. But
Okay, can
but
I
when you
make a
reach-
prediction?
Yeah.
Like I know who's gonna be the happiest 5 years from now, and it's gonna be the person like who's happiest right now is just gonna be the happiest 5 years later. Because it's not about your situation. It's just gonna be
that's
about your
definitely
personality.
Me. I'm happy. I'm very happy.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter
I'm a
if you're
chill
gonna be a
guy.
millionaire or
chill
married
guy.
or yeah, and you don't even know the meme. Dun, 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 dun.
I don't
We're
know
gonna
what that
film
means.
that. Dun, 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 dun.
Okay.
like just before you end it, like, do you think dating is actually dead? Because
Dead?
like a lot of Korean media has been saying like dating is like
But what does that mean?
people aren't going out of their way and spending time, money, and effort to actually find a person to like invest their like feelings and money.
Everyone
and
I know is dating, so and going out on dates.
What do you guys think?
the
Yeah.
dating culture here is so robotic. I think that's
Oh, you have like steps.
you have
Uh,
steps and you have
rituals.
processes, so there's no emotion. It's just like you got to do A, B, C, D, and then you decide and you go and
Yeah.
you book a wedding hall. You meet your parents. Like it's such a process
It's
here.
efficient.
But so I think that is perhaps what kills the dating culture in Korea. But if you outside of Korea, I don't feel like I sense the same kind of dating is dead energy.
Well, I saw a report yesterday, and they analyzed the reason why the media is saying dating is dead is because like you have so many options around you, and you can be happy by yourself. You don't really need a partner nowadays to get like entertainment. You don't have to. Like you can get it from dogs too. You can just watch Netflix by yourself. You can go to a community and running club and whatever. You don't need.
I mean, people date in running clubs. So.
And
So,
also
yeah.
you can just have like sexual relationships with like just apps or casual relationships. So they're like, I'm not looking for a partner to commit my time, energy, and emotions on. Like that's so tiring.
That's
I don't
just-
have the money for that either. So let me just like do what's best for myself, and I don't want to have any responsibilities. Like
But then
just-
maybe saying marriage is dead is more accurate than saying
Yeah.
dating is dead, because I think dating is thriving, and then marriage, like a commitment
No one
to
wants
one
to commit.
like family, because
Yeah.
in Sweden like people have kids but they're not married. Like I have a lot of friends who are not married, and I think that might be more commonplace. Will start becoming more commonplace in Korea too, where you're just in a partnership,
Yeah.
but it's not like a marriage.
yeah, I think it's both.
I think those articles are written by boomers who don't really know what's going on. No, because like 2 years ago, I read this article about like, oh, Gen Zs have like way less sex than millennials. And I'm like, you don't know what you're talking about because you're just a boomer writing about Gen Z. Like all of my
Oh,
friends are
maybe-
very sexually
though, like,
active.
aren't we all trapped in our own circles?
Yeah,
though?
'cause
like,
I
our
Yeah,
think
own-
so I'm not
Kelsey-
gonna tap into some like
Kelsey.
article written by a boomer.
But like,
I-
if it's based on statistics, isn't that even?
I think-
yeah,
I
but like,
think-
why does he think that Gen Z's honest
I
about
think
how much
you
sex they're
you
having?
don't know how much sex the millennials were having. Exactly.
Maybe it's like even crazier.
You think?
Yeah, when I made a video about like dating is dead and stuff, actually I was surprised too because I was on Kelsey's side. I was like, everyone around me is dating. Koreans are always talking about like 연애 누구 하고 있어 안 하고 있어.
Really?
But
People
then But then that's called 확증 편향. I don't know what that's in English, but it means
Confirmative bias.
you're in your own
Yeah,
circle, and
yeah.
you're in your own circle of
Echo
like
chamber.
hot, attractive, good, extrovert, social people. But actually, if you think of your classroom, like there were only 10 people that were in like those insapems, and like 20 of them are like in their houses, locked in, like watching Netflix
Can-
and just
can
not
I-
doing anything. And
Can I ask a question? Because I've been out of the dating game for so long that I don't really know. But like my friends, like most of them are single.
yeah,
They don't really talk about dating anymore. Because even if they meet somebody, they know they're gonna break up anyway. So like, there's no point like talking about some girl that they're meeting for like 5 months.
yeah.
So we don't talk about dating anymore. Is that same with you?
I feel like, I mean,
We don't-
my
we don't
age,
talk about-
We're talking about marriage now. It's either marriage or not. Dating.
Yeah,
God, this is
yeah, yeah.
depressing.
Yeah, it's
we
either,
don't, we don't talk about the people that like we meet, date.
It's like
Yeah.
either you get married, like
Yeah,
there are
yeah.
two type of my friends. Either you get married or you're thriving for your business. You're like
yeah. There's no
hustling
one
for
like,
your business or
that's
whatever.
like talking
It's
about
either-
this girl I met. You know, I think she's no zero talk of that. I don't think we've talked about that
I
for
think
the
maybe in the early 20s they would still talk about that.
yeah, but like not at our age.
No,
we don't
no.
talk about.
Yeah,
So I feel like is it because they're not dating or is it's because
I don't know, but like I can only reference from those statistic-based media.
So for me, I'm
articles,
in my
so-
late 20s, and whenever we have girls' time with girls who also graduated like a couple of years ago and they're
Yeah.
working now, we might all each have like our relationship at that time, but we do talk about it less than our undergrad when that was the only interesting thing going on. Now we talk about other stuff too, like careers and like promotions and whatever, but we still do date a lot. Like I thought people don't date a lot, and I'm like really introverted. I stay at home unless it's for work. But I went to SeoulCon. I was invited to SeoulCon, and then we had like this networking party. And after that, like 3 guys slid into my DMs.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my god, people are still really active and like willing to take out their time and money and like go on dates. So I don't think it's true that dating.
I mean,
is
I think
dead.
we should differentiate date
sliding into
relationships.
DMs is not dating.
Relationships.
No, but they're still trying,
Oh yeah, they're actively
asking
trying.
me out
yeah,
on
yeah.
a date. Yeah.
yeah, but you don't know where that's going to end at. Like, is it going to be a
But
serious
dating
one?
means like going out on dates. That's not dead. You're saying people don't even
in
want to spend their
relationship.
time and
That's
money.
true
They
too.
do.
That's true too.
They do
That's
want
true.
Really? Do you still do that? Slide into people's DMs?
No, I've never slid into anybody's DM before.
No,
Do you
or
respond
just
to
like-
DMs?
I mean,
That's
I've used apps before.
Do you still use apps?
No.
And
Why are you
within
trying to put me on the
my-
spot?
No, I'm just
You're
curious
such-
because
No,
I've been
and
out so
recently,
long.
like I introduced 2 of my friends because they wanted to like each date, and now they're dating actually.
Yeah.
So like people ask me, and then like there's like yeah, a lo-
matchmake.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know when we're all gonna get married.
Yeah.
Hopefully, soon or whenever we want to.
Oh.
But
Who knows? Like David will be a dad this year.
what?
Might be.
Is
Could
that a
happen.
curse?
Could happen.
I mean,
Could happen.
You're the most likely.
Yeah,
'cause
I
you're
think
living
you're
with
the
a
most-
girl.
No, I'm good.
Anyways, okay. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sorry for ending it abruptly, but this is my friend's place, and I feel like we've squatted over here
Pizzeria
for
snug.
too long. Yeah.
Okay.
And also, this was Hunger Gwaja over here. Go check it out. It's it makes like Korean characters. Like we can see ko, like this is nose and this is big.
No, wait.
That's
big,
big
over
yeah.
here. So yeah, you can make oh as well. Exclamation. Yeah. So anyways, go check out Hunger Gwaja. It's made by Tyler and Nidhi.
Tyler the creator.
Yeah.
He is literally Tyler the creator.
Yes.
Not wrong.
Shout out to Pizzeria Snug and DMC. Go check it out. It has wonderful vibes, as you can see. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.